Sup, creeps, and welcome to the first installment of the creepy campfire stories. This one I'd like to call The Maker of Faces. It was the winter of 1891. Edinburgh's fog lays thick and humid, muffling the chiming of echoing church bells in the distance. Here, there lived a quiet, peculiar man named Callum Wallace, a craftsman of death masks. His modest workshop sat nestled between a boarded up bakery and a cooper's shop, its windows always hazed with steam and the air filled with the thin metallic scent of plaster. Most people passed by without noticing the place, but those who had lost someone, truly lost someone, knew exactly where to go. Callum believed that the face of the dead revealed more truth than the living ever dared to show. And he dedicated his life to capturing the truth before time or rot washed it away. But not everyone who came to him was grieving. Some arrived after sundown, hooded, silent, carrying corpses that still held the last warmth of life. Callum didn't ask questions, not at first, until the night Elizabeth Rowland arrived. She could not have been more than 16. Pale skin, ebony hair tangled with reeds, and fingers curled stiffly as if still grasping for help. The men who brought her laid her on the table as though she were a sack of grain. They gave a name, a nod, and a pouch of coins too heavy to be honest payment. The moment the door shut, Callum realized something was horribly wrong. Elizabeth had drowned, yes, but the river had not broken her jaw. The water had not torn her lip, and the deep bruises wringing her throat were unmistakable. He stood over her, breath clouding in the frigid air. He whispered an apology, though he doubted she could hear him, even in whatever place the dead drifted. He lit his oil lamps, and shadows flared along the walls like watching figures over them. And he began. To craft a death mask was part ritual, part science, part trespass into the silence of the afterworld. First, he closed her eyes, smoothing the lids with warm cloths until they surrendered. Then he anointed her skin with oil so the plaster would not cling to her pores. The scent of lavender filled the room, barely hiding the creeping odor of river rot. Callum mixed plaster in his bronze bowl, listening to it bubble like something breathing. When he reached the right thickness, he dipped both hands in and lowered them towards her face. This moment always chilled him. Cold plaster touching cold flesh. Two stillnesses meeting. He spread the mixture gently across her brow, cheeks, and chin. But when he reached her broken jaw, the plaster slid into the wound, filling the crack as though repairing it. Her head made a soft, unsettling click. He murmured, "Forgive me," and pressed on. He waited for the plaster to set, then peeled the hard shell away. The inside revealed her final expression. Jaw twisted, lip torn, defiance frozen beneath the violence done to her. Callum felt a quiver of unease. The dead did not usually look angry. He set the mask aside to dry. Hours passed, the lamps burned low, but every time he glanced at the mask, something felt different. The torn lip seemed less jagged. The jaw looked straighter, the brow smoother, almost peaceful. He leaned closer. The mask was warm. The crack running down in center suddenly split open farther with a sharp snap that echoed off the stone walls, and he staggered back. Something inside the mask, deep in its plaster core, seemed to pulse. He should have destroyed it, but he could not look away. Just before dawn, the workshop door creaked open. The same men from before stepped inside, shoulders broad, expression sharp. "Well?" one asked. Callum gestured to the cracked mask. Something went wrong. She didn't want to be captured. The man sneered. "That's not your concern." Callum squared his shoulders. "I won't make another, and I won't help you hide what you've done." Silence. Heavy. Then the scrape of steel, the glint of a blade. Callum backed toward the table where Elizabeth lay beneath her linen shroud, and then a sound broke the tension. A wet, aching gurgle. All three men turned. The sheet stirred. Once. Twice. Then Elizabeth sat upright, the linen slipping from her bare shoulders. River water poured from her mouth in dark streams, splattering across the table. Her jaw hung loose and crooked, but her eyes were wild, focused, and horribly aware. She fixed those eyes on the men who killed her, and in a voice thick with water and gravel, she whispered, "You shouldn't have come back." The town neighbors later reported the screams. 4 voices, then 3, then 2, but by the time the authorities arrived, the workshop was silent. The table had been cleaned, the floor scrubbed. No blood, no bodies, no Callum. Only one thing remained: the death mask. Restored, smooth, perfect. It showed a peaceful girl with closed eyes. But beneath the plaster surface, faint shapes seemed to shift, as though more expressions, more faces pushed to the surface, trying to be seen. Callum Wallace was never found, and locals still swear that when winter comes and the fog thickens, the mask grows warm, as if someone behind it is breathing. And sometimes, just sometimes, the jaw on that plaster face hangs ever so slightly, as if it's trying to whisper a warning or a name. Thanks for joining me, creeps, and I'll catch you next time right here on Creepy Confidential for another creepy campfire story.